What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Cinematic Reviews. I, of course, am your host, Chris, and this is the show where I rank franchises, talk about upcoming projects, and, of course, react to the newest releases. I got another awesome show for you today, so let's dive into some news and reactions. So it's been a couple weeks since I've recorded an episode. There's a bunch of news to go over. The first one is probably the biggest news, and it happened a few days ago this week, and that is the passing of James Earl Jones. He, of course, was the voice behind Darth Vader, as well as doing other movies like The Sandlot and Coming to America, the voices of Mufasa and The Lion King. He is a true icon, and he will be sorely missed. Now, for those that are wondering, well, what does that mean for Darth Vader? Well, it seems to be reported that Mr. Jones did, in fact, sign paperwork to voice Darth Vader using AI, so that basically allows Disney the right to use his voice in the Star Wars, the Darth Vader capacity, as much as they want. He pretty much gave them his blessing in document form that they can use his voice in future projects, which is cool. Darth Vader, probably one of the most, if not the most, iconic villain in cinematic history. And it's cool that he will be able to live on through that character, through his really iconic voice. I mean, he's up there with Morgan Freeman as, you know, the top two most beloved voices in the world, basically. That's going to be a truly sad day when, unfortunately, Morgan Freeman passes away, when Samuel Jackson passes away. But James Earl Jones was a big part of my childhood because I am a diehard Star Wars fan. Grew up watching The Lion King, seeing him in the Sandlot movie, seeing him pop up in other projects like Coming to America with Eddie Murphy. He popped up in an episode of The Big Bang Theory as himself. Just a true icon, and he's going to be sorely missed. That's such a gaping hole in cinema history that he has left behind. So prayers and thoughts to his family, and then we will do our best to kind of cherish and preserve his lifelong passion, and that is the cinema world. So thank you, James Earl Jones, for giving us the most iconic villain ever in cinematic history. Also in Star Wars news, we have The Acolyte being canceled after one season on Disney+. If you've listened to my reaction episode of the first season of The Acolyte, you're probably wondering, I pretty much called it. I think on that episode I stated that I wouldn't be surprised if this show did get canceled, and it did in fact get canceled, even though they did leave season one on a bit of a cliffhanger. It seems that the numbers and the audience reactions kind of twisted Disney's hand in canceling the show and not pumping money into that portion of the Star Wars universe, which I'm glad. I was not a huge fan of that show. There were a few, maybe 2 or 3 episodes where it had potential of maybe reviving itself with the second season, but overall, it's my least favorite Star Wars project so far, and that's saying quite a bit because we've had a lot of misses from Disney in the last couple years, but The Acolyte by far is their biggest miss in the Star Wars universe. So season 1 is out on Disney Plus still. I gotta imagine that they're just gonna keep it on there. I don't see them pulling it. So if you do feel enticed to go check out that show, if you haven't seen it, it is on Disney Plus. Otherwise, if you have seen it, go rewatch it again if you like it. If not, well, you can mark that check off as a win for it getting canceled. Some other news, we have the release date for the Wizards of Waverly Place sequel series, which is being titled Wizards Beyond Waverly Place. I am super excited for this show. I grew up, a Disney head as a kid, and Wizards of Waverly Place was one of the shows that I watched every single week. I'm super excited. It looks like Justin is returning with his family, and he's kind of the centerpiece around this sequel series, along with Alex coming back, who's played by Selena Gomez. David Henry, of course, plays Justin Russo. This looks like it's going to be a really, really fun show. I think for the last couple years, we've been kind of getting hints of this show through Selena Gomez and David Henry themselves. They've kind of hinted at that they were currently working on this show, and now it looks like it is coming to fruition. I don't remember exactly how many episodes this is going to be. I think it was set to be 8 episodes. It looks like 10 episodes, according to this, and they all are dropping. So the first couple episodes are dropping October 29th, and then the rest of the season will be dropping October 30th on Disney+. And I will be doing a reaction to that on this podcast once I am able to watch all 10 episodes of that show. So I'm super excited for that one. Wizards Beyond Waverly Place, coming out October 30th on Disney+. Also, we got some news on the newest Jurassic World movie, which is being titled Jurassic World Rebirth. This is starring Scarlett Johansson, which I am super, super excited about. Scarlett Johansson is one of my favorite actors working in Hollywood right now, and the fact that she's finally joining one of the biggest franchises in cinema history is really exciting. We also have Mahershala Ali coming into this as well. I don't have a whole lot of information on this. They did release a poster for the film a couple weeks ago on social media. I guess we'll see what's going on. Looks like Gareth Edwards is directing this one. Let's see if I can find a synopsis on here. 5 years post... Oh, okay, so it's 5 years after the previous Jurassic World movie, Dominion. It looks like they are extracting DNA from 3 massive prehistoric creatures. Shocker there. It seems to be the premise for all these movies. And they are trying to discover groundbreaking medical breakthroughs. So it's possible that we will be getting some cures to cancer or diseases using dinosaur DNA is what it sounds like to me. So that is really interesting. I guess we'll see how this goes. I know back when Jurassic World Dominion came out, that was very, very poorly received. And I'm really surprised that they're pumping one out this soon already. But we'll see how this goes. This comes out July 2nd, 2025. I'm sure this will be one of the biggest blockbusters of next summer. So check that out. Jurassic World Rebirth, coming to theaters July 2nd, 2025. Now let's get to some reactions. A few weeks ago, we had part 3 of That 90s Show dropping on Netflix. This picks up where part 2 left off, where Kitty and Red are preparing their journeys to Paris for a little vacation. When they come back, it appears to be just pure chaos in this house. They come home to this gaping hole in their kitchen where Leo's son, played by Kevin Smith, and his buddy, who's played by Jason Mewes, who you probably recognize, the famous director Kevin Smith, also the guy that plays Silent Bob, and Jason Mewes, of course, plays Jay in the Viewer Skew universe that Kevin Smith has created with his films. So that was pretty cool to get those two guys in there. A lot of shenanigans happens throughout this part. Leia and Jay are kind of picking up the pieces with where their relationship left off at. You have Nate, who ends up dating Jay's sister. For most of this season, they end up breaking up because Nate can't seem to get over Nikki, and Nikki is also dating some other person. I believe he's the guy from the I'm drawing a blank on it now. He runs the hot dog shop that they always go to in the show. But yeah, there's just a lot of chaos, a lot of shenanigans, and a lot of laughs. I'm really impressed with how this show is going. I'm not exactly sure how many parts we're gonna get of this show. Um, I gotta imagine they're probably gonna maybe call it after part 4, maybe part 5. I don't see them going past any more than that because they can only do so much with it. It seems to be pumping out 8 to 10 episodes a season. By the time you get to part 4 or 5, you're looking at 50 ish episodes. That's quite a bit. It's not like the original show where they had 7 seasons that they had all these ideas and storylines kind of pumped out. But hey, I could be wrong before. Maybe they do want to do 7 or 8 parts. But I have to think realistically, and I think realistically you maybe have 2 parts left. Maybe they'll decide to just cut it after a 4th part. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Cobra Kai seems to be able to run pretty smoothly with their 6 seasons that they are doing. So maybe that's what they'll cut it at. Maybe they'll cut it at the part 6 part. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But for right now, I'm really enjoying this show. I love the cast. I love the actors. The story is really heartwarming. At the end of part 3, it seems like the big decision now is Leia just got news from Donna that Eric has accepted a job in writing the book about how George Lucas is working on the prequels trilogies for the Star Wars universe, and they have to decide whether they live in Point Place, they move back to Chicago, do they move to California with Eric. So that's kind of the big decision that we are left at the end of part 3. So part 4, hopefully we'll pick up where that left off, and we can kind of go through there. I'm hoping we get more of Donna and more of Eric. It seems like Donna was the one that we've been seeing the most throughout this show. It'd be nice to get Topher Grace back in here. Maybe they can even bring in, Michael and Jackie back, or maybe even get Leo. I think Leo popped up once or twice during the show. But it seems to be Donna and Bob, and then Kitty and Red as the original cast that seem to be recurring people on the show. It'd be nice to get some more. We did get some more Seth Green, which was funny. He's working at the Hot Topic in the mall, still crushing on Donna. So that was cool to get some more of him. But yeah, it's a really good show. Check this out. It is parts 1, 2, and 3 are currently on Netflix. No word yet on when part 4 will be coming out. I gotta imagine it should be coming out here pretty soon. Let me see if I can find a date here. If it's not the end of this year, I gotta imagine it's probably going to be the spring of next year. Nope, they're currently working on part 4, so I guess that is TBD on that part there. But yep, definitely check out that 90s show on Netflix. It's a really fun family show to watch. And then lastly, for this the segment of news and reactions, I'm going to give my reaction to the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 trailer that released a couple weeks ago. This is probably the film I'm most excited for this back half of the year. We got Ben Schwartz coming back as the voice of Sonic. We have Keanu Reeves making his debut in the franchise as Shadow. Idris Elba is back as Knuckles. James Marsden is coming back as Officer Tom. Jim Carrey, of course, coming back as Dr. Robotnik. Yeah, this is really, really going to be awesome. Shadow is probably my favorite character in the video games. And it's really exciting to know that Keanu Reeves will be voicing him. That completely surprised me. I did not think they were going to be able to get a big-name actor like Keanu to do Shadow. So that's really cool that he is joining in on this franchise. The action looks great. The story looks great. Shadow looks amazing with the CGI that they've done. Yeah, it just looks like a really, really fun family film. Coming this December, December 20th. So right around the Christmas holiday, it would be perfect to bring the whole family to this film. I will be bringing my family to this, of course. We love the Sonic films. We've seen 1 and 2 in theaters opening day. So we are, of course, going to be coming to the theater opening day for this third one, and then I will be doing a reaction episode on this as well. So check out Sonic the Hedgehog 3, coming to theaters December 20th, 2024. Now let's get to today's feature filmed, Alien Romulus.
Are you sure you want to do this? There she is.
You want to break in and steal highly regulated equipment.
This could be our only ticket out of here. Should be in and out in 30 minutes.
Welcome to the Romulus space station.
This place gives me the creeps.
What the hell is this?
I don't know.
What the fuck was that? Young?
Stop playing around, man. Just get up.
I'm not playing around, there's something in the water.
What do you mean there's something in
I
the
don't know,
water?
there's just something in the fucking water.
Run.
Are you alright?
Tomorrow. I don't know what to do.
Whatever comes, we'll face it together.
Let's go.
Impact event in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So Alien Romulus is the newest installment of the Alien franchise. It came out about a month ago, back on August 16th. This was a really, really good film. It wasn't my favorite of the Alien franchise, but it's definitely up there for me. I really, really enjoyed what they did with this newest installment. To give you kind of a little bit of backstory with my connection to the Alien franchise, it's a franchise I wasn't really attached to. I don't think I ever really started watching these movies until Alien vs. Predator came out back in like 2007. I think it was 2006 when that one came out. So I mean, I knew of the Alien character. I knew of the Predator character. It's just a franchise I didn't really have an interest in at the time. You know, I was more of the slasher horror fan. Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Scream, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, those were the horror films that I leaned towards more when I was growing up. But once I saw Alien vs. Predator, I was really interested in learning more about these characters. So then I started going back and rewatching, Aliens, and then the Predator movies. And then when Prometheus came out, that's when I really, really became a fan of the film. Prometheus is one of my favorites of this franchise. They did a really, really good job at kind of retelling the beginning of this whole story with the face huggers and the xenomorphs and, the higher beings that created these things. But yeah, this is a franchise I've grown to really, really love throughout the years. And then Alien Covenant came back. It was still a pretty good film, not one of my favorites. But I really, really, really love Aliens, and I'll get more into this once we get to the rankings in a little bit. But Sigourney Weaver, she is fantastic in this franchise, and it's kind of a shame that she didn't pop up in this one at all. I know there were rumors that she could be popping up in this one or a future one. I know she loves the character, and she's more than willing to come back. I don't think this one really had a spot for her, I'm guessing, is probably why they didn't have her in here. But I think the cast they had was pretty good. I'm not familiar with really any of the cast in here. They're all fresh new faces. We have Andy, who was the new android. He was fantastic in there. I thought he did really, really well. He's played by David Johnson, I think is how you say it. It's got 2 S's in there, so that threw me off. But the main character is Rain. She is fantastic. You have Tyler, Kay, Navarro, Jorn. Really, really fun cast. I like what they did. They found like really no-name faces. They kind of throw them out there and try to become a big name for themselves, being attached to a big franchise. But yeah, they did fantastic. Especially, what was her name? Kaylee Spaney, I think is how you spell it. I'm terrible with names. I'm sorry. She plays Rain. She's the main character of this installment. She's fantastic. She was kind of the Ripley surrogate for this installment of the franchise, and she did really, really well. She was very, very not really charismatic, but she was relatable. Very capable of doing all the action work. She's really good. I really liked her in here. She pretty much is the only sole survivor of this installment, so seeing her in a future installment would be awesome. So the basic story of this one is these group of, I wouldn't necessarily call them friends, probably more of, acquaintances. Well, I guess they could be friends, is I think Rain and Tyler dated for a time, and then Rain refers to Andy as her brother, even though he's an android. So I guess we'll just go with friends. So they end up scavenging this ship called the Romulus in order to try to escape this planet that they're on, where they're forced into labor in order to Basically, they have to work to earn time off. So basically, like I say, you got to work 10 years. Once you hit your 10-year mark, you can leave the planet and go live your life, whatever. So that's kind of the general pushing point for these characters to kind of take matters into their own hands and go aboard this ship called the Romulus in order to escape this planet and get away from their labor contract, I guess you can call it. So that's kind of the general basis of where this story kind of kicks off. And then once you get on the ship, you discover that this was kind of connected to the first film. I don't remember. I think the first ship was called in the first film. Well, it might have been called. Let me check here. So it is a sequel to the original film, but it's a prequel to Cameron's follow-up. So it's in between Alien and Aliens is what it looks like it takes place. So that's interesting. I didn't know that going into that movie. So that once you get onto the ship, this is where they start, encountering the classic, face huggers, which terrifying scene. Used to freak me out as a kid. Face hugger, gets born out of the egg. It crawls out of the egg sac, clenches onto somebody's face, and basically breathes down their throat the embryo that'll eventually be the xenomorph bursting out of their freaking chest, and that's what they call the chest bursters. And that's how that's one of the things I judge these alien movies on, is the chest burster scene, because you're guaranteed 2 things in an alien movie: face huggers, chest bursters. those are the two things. Well, then, of course, the xenomorphs, so probably three, but they're all connected in a way. The chest burster scene in this one's probably one of my favorites. If you've seen the trailer, you know what scene I'm talking about. If you've seen the movie, you definitely know what I'm talking about. So one of the crew, I think it was Navarro, ends up getting, implanted with the embryo when she had a facehugger on her head, and she uses this X-ray device and so we can kind of see the embryo moving around inside of her, which is freaking crazy. And then eventually the chest burster comes out and the xenomorph is born. That was they did a really good job with that scene, I think. Especially, explaining to the parts of the audience that haven't really seen the original films. So they kind of had to do like a recap of what happens during this whole process where the facehugger clenches onto your face. It's got its tube down your throat so you can allow you to breathe. It's got its tail around its neck. So if you try to remove it, it'll strangle the host, cut off the breathing. And then it'll implant the embryo into your chest cavity, and then that's where it'll come out. So they did a really good job at explaining to new audiences this whole process, as well as paying homage to the original film that the other half of the audience has grown to love, and it's really cool. The music is great. I think they actually went and used back to the old style of the filming with the puppets and actual people in the xenomorph costume running around. But yeah, I was just really, really impressed with this newest installment of Alien. I believe Ridley Scott was only a producer on this. Fede Alvarez, he's the one that directed it. He directed movies like Don't Breathe, the newest Evil Dead. So he's a very, very capable horror director, and I think he did a really fantastic job at his take on the Alien franchise that has been around for decades. So I really hope he gets another crack at this, or maybe even Ridley Scott's ready to jump back into this franchise. I know Disney is working on a series for the Alien universe that's coming out here very shortly. And yes, this is a Disney project for those that don't know. The Xenomorph is now officially a Disney princess. Let me take a look and see what the Alien series is coming out. Alien Earth is coming next year. In the springtime, it looks like. So that'll be very, very exciting. I think they sent out like a teaser a couple weeks ago, teasing the show that they're going to be working on in this universe. So that's really cool. So yeah, that's Alien Romulus. It's very, 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 very cool. If you're a fan of the Alien universe, definitely go see it if you haven't yet, or if you have, go see it again. I'm planning on waiting until this is purchasable on my streaming service so that I can own it and watch it as many times as I want. But yeah, go support this film out into the theater because it definitely deserves the praise. It was really good. I was surprised by how much I walked out of it and liked it. So with that, let's head over to my Alien Universe rankings. Alright, so here is my ranking of the Alien universe. I'm going to start from the bottom up like I always do. So at number 7, Alien 3. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, honestly. I rewatched all these movies in kind of preparation for the newest one as well as this podcast. But yeah, Alien 3 is by far the worst in this franchise and one of the worst movies I've ever seen. This was directed by David Fincher, who has famously basically disowned this film. The backstory that I've heard is that David Fincher really butted heads with the studio when it came to this one. He had his own vision coming into it, and they kind of had their own agenda when it came to this third installment of the franchise. So they really butted heads, and he has pretty much disowned this movie from his filmography. and I don't blame the guy. This is really, really freaking bad. Ripley basically crash lands on this prison planet after the events of Aliens. It turns out that she accidentally brought one of the aliens with her onto this planet, and so it ends up being birthed and just killing out all the prisoners on this planet. It's really freaking bad. I mean, it sounds cool when I describe it, maybe. You know, what's not to like? Prison planet, alien letting loose. We got Ripley back with Sigourney Weaver, but this was a bad movie, so it's dead last on this rankings. Coming at number 6, we got Alien Resurrection. This is the 4th film in the franchise. This brings back Sigourney Weaver once again as this human xenomorph hybrid thing, because she sacrifices herself at the end of Alien 3, and then she is brought back using the alien DNA as this hybrid queen entity, I guess you could call her. In this, this also has Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder. So they're really cool in there. This is definitely better than the 3rd movie. It's not great though. I enjoyed it in parts, but it's definitely nowhere near, like Alien or Aliens or even Prometheus. So it's sitting there at number 6 for me. It's definitely a step up from Alien 3, but by no way is it one that I'm like running to the TV to go watch again. I'm gonna watch these other ones way before I even watch Resurrection again. Number 5, we have Alien Covenant. This was the newest one before Romulus came out. This was directed by Ridley Scott, who directed the original Alien movie. I liked parts of this one, but it was nowhere near what Prometheus did when Prometheus came out. It tried to build on what they succeeded with Prometheus, but I think they just ultimately failed with what they were going for. There are some really cool parts in there. The one part I don't really care for is where Michael Fassbender's character, David, he ends up he's the David from the Prometheus, and he was the sole survivor after the events of that movie, and he ends up researching the face huggers and xenomorphs in order to create his perfect species, I guess you could say. But then we also have Walter, who is the current android for this crew of humans on this trip. So it's a really weird installment, but it's got some really cool stuff. James Franco makes an appearance in this for a hot second as the captain. He ends up dying right away in the movie. Billy Crudup ends up becoming the captain. Danny McBride's in here. He's actually pretty good in here as Tennessee. I kind of enjoyed him. He still brings that Danny McBride humor and charm, but he was serious when he needed to be. And Billy Crudup's always good. I always enjoy watching him in films. So he's pretty good as the captain. I think he's the first casualty. No, he's not the first casualty. One of the other guys ends up becoming, infected with that gas. And that's kind of what David perfected, was a way to transmit the alien without the face hugger. He kind of did it through the air in the plants, which was pretty smart on his part. But still, I have my issues with this installment, but it's still pretty good. I like to have a double feature with Prometheus and this because they kind of tie in together. So, and then number 4 is the original Alien. Which I really, really like. I've only seen this a couple times, but I think it still really, really holds up. This is where we first get introduced to the Ripley character, played by Sigourney Weaver. And they end up being attacked by the xenomorph. It's only one xenomorph in this one. That's what I think is the beauty of this first movie, is they kept it contained. Aliens, we get multiple ones, ergo the title Aliens. In this one, we just get the one alien, and it seems to be a handful on its own for this crew. But this film really holds up for it coming out back in '79. But I really enjoy it. It's really good. And then at number 3, this is where Alien Romulus lands for me. I was really impressed for what they did in there with the horror aspect of it, the music, the cast. The story could have did a little bit better. The ending was pretty predictable for me once we find out that the one character is pregnant. Well, you can kind of go, well, that baby's going to turn into an alien, which it does. It comes out as this human xenomorph hybrid thing who was actually played by a real character. An actual person played him. I can't remember. I was going to bring that up earlier, and I just jogged my memory. He is... Oh, what is he? He's a Romanian. He's some kind of athlete. I can't remember if he was an Olympic athlete or a basketball player or something. But they got an actual person to play that hybrid thing at the end of the movie. But it was very predictable. Like I said, as soon as you find out that one of the characters is pregnant, right away you're like, well, we know how this movie's going to end. That baby's going to get turned into a xenomorph. So, which it does, and it's pretty crazy how that thing is born. Very graphic. Very scary. It was pretty cool, but also disturbing at the same time. But number 3, that's where Alien Romulus lands for me on my list. Then number 2 is Prometheus, which I really love rewatching this movie. Ridley Scott did a really cool job at bringing this franchise back with Prometheus. I think this came back, was it 2012? So it was quite a big gap between Resurrection and Prometheus. But they did really cool. They kind of tried to do like an origin story where they explain that a higher being created the xenomorphs, and so this company that our main characters work for end up discovering this planet and this group of beings that created these creatures. It's got quite an awesome cast. It's got Idris Elba, Michael Fassbender, Charlize Theron, Guy Pearce, Sean Harris, Benedict Wong pops up in here. It's got quite a huge cast, and I think they really landed on what they were trying to do with Prometheus, and it's unfortunate that Alien Covenant didn't quite live up to it. But it's still really exciting to know that Ridley Scott was able to kind of revive the Alien franchise after such a long gap between installments. So Prometheus, number 2, with a bullet for me. And then number 1, it's Aliens. Aliens is such a classic movie. This came out back in '86. Sigourney returns as Ripley once again. And this time, instead of facing one alien, it's a bunch of them. I lost track of how many there were. She ends up on this rescue mission for this little girl. Quite a cool cast, too. Michael Biehn shows up from the Terminator series. Bill Paxton's in here. Rest in peace, Bill Paxton. But I just really love it. The action's great. The story is really simple and an improvement from the first film. The aliens looking scary as hell in this one. This was directed by James Cameron, which I think he did a fantastic job. He's kind of the guy where you're like, we need a really good sequel. He did Terminator 2, better than the original. Aliens, better than Alien. Some might even argue Avatar 2, better than Avatar. James Cameron is the GOAT for sequels in my book, so it was a match made in heaven for him to direct an Alien sequel. And he definitely landed the plane on this one. I love rewatching this one ever since I first watched it. It's a fantastic horror movie, action movie, thriller, everything. Alien invasion movie. It's really a perfect sequel, and it's in that hierarchy of special films where they were able to make the sequel more successful and more well received than the original, which is very hard to do nowadays. We're always getting prequels and sequels and franchises, and it's really tough to pump out a sequel that's even better than the original, even when the original was beloved. So that is my rankings for the Alien universe. Number 1, Aliens. 2, Prometheus. 3, Alien Romulus. 4, Alien. 5, Alien Covenant. 6, Alien Resurrection. And 7, Alien 3. I'll be posting all these up on all the social media pages. Just search for Cinematic Views. You can find it on X, Instagram, Facebook, and then IMDb. If you search Cinematic Views, you can find all my lists as well. So I'll be posting those for you all to check out on social media pages. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Next time, I'll be having a Beetlejuice-filled episode for you. I'll be reacting to Beetlejuice 2 that came out last week, as well as comparing Beetlejuice 1 versus its sequel, Beetlejuice 2. So tune in next time for some Beetlejuice talk on Cinematic Reviews.